Hi everyone, it's your favorite live streamer, MJ. How's it going? All right, you know what? It is, come on. It is 3:11 a.m. Taiwan time, which means it's 2 something p.m. Eastern Standard Time in North America. How you guys doing? We're glamping. I'm actually in a camping trailer. They call it a camping car in Taiwan. Yes, we are. How you doing? Good to see you, Matthew. Yeah, this is let me just go like this and show you a little bit back here. This is nothing here, but these are bunk beds, for kids. Actually, the rest of my family is across. They have built a glass room over there, of course, with shades and everything, and they are bunking down. My wife brought some mats and so forth for them, so that's pretty cool. We've been having a pretty good time here, so yeah, it's nice. It's funny how they call it a luingce, camping car. And it's funny also because not many people own them. A lot of resorts have them, and they have them permanently anchored like this, and sometimes they're even plumbed. Of course, sometimes they have restrooms inside. They tell you not to use them because it's a pain in the neck, and they'll have restrooms outside. This one doesn't have a restroom, but they did say, for the cars that have, factory restrooms, don't use them. They're not, they don't want to have to clean them out. So they build, restroom buildings. But what we've been doing is hanging out today with some Phoenix classmates. This is like an outing. And we brought our telescope tonight. And that's the thumbnail. But before we get into that, let me tell you what's been going on this week. So let's look at our Prism Live Studio. And before I say anything else, Prism Live Studio has made an update, and they're going to have to make some adjustments because it was almost impossible for me to figure out how to put in the title. But one good thing about it is you can put a separate title in. I don't know why you want to, but if you ever want to put a separate title in for each platform, you can. And I'm not broadcasting on Twitch. This happened this weekend. Presidential alert. Now in English it says a missile flyover Taiwan airspace, be aware. But in Chinese it says at 3:04 p.m. in the afternoon, China launched a satellite. And I posted this on Facebook. It was like, wow, this happened just now. And there were two, actually, one after the other. This is just one of them. I mean, if you got one, you got them all, right? And one of my friends, Truett Black, he's a really fine person, amazing man. He was saying that, it's nothing to worry about because it's just a satellite, but the English leaves a lot more to be desired. And that's true. But here's the thing. I pointed out to him, and I wasn't having a go, and I wasn't taking a shot. But I said in response, please allow me to point out the fact that it's only a satellite if it reaches orbit. If it doesn't reach orbit, then it's a meteor. If it touches the ground, it's a meteorite. I didn't say that about the meteor. But here's the thing. It is China. I'm not going to make any comments. It is China. It is what it is. And it had to fly over my house to get to orbit. So, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for the warning. I need to know that. My LED glass is malfunctioning. I don't know why. But what I found out was if I put my finger on the bottom, I can complete the circuit. So this is pretty interesting because if I have my finger on where the battery is and I go like this, thank you. Watch this. every time I take a drink. How stupid is that? All right, now, what else went on? Oh, I want to show something, because you guys know I got the DJI Pocket 3. And, you know, our good friend, John Sabot, was asking me about the, what do they call it? The Black Pro Mist filter, or the Pro Black Mist. Anyway, it's just like the Black Mist filter, and it has the word Pro in it somewhere. Anyway, what it is, it's a filter that, you know, it's a magnetic filter that snaps on the outside of the lens of the Pocket 3 to kind of soften the highlights. So John was asking me about it, and I made 2 videos, and this is the before video at the mall, and I want to play this, and I want you to see what it looks like without this filter. Okay, so there's, you know, kind of nasty lens flare there, but, you know, the Pocket 3 is amazing, and as Casey says on his channel, Camera Conspiracies, Pocket 3 destroys pretty much everything else. It's amazing. But this is with the filter, and you can see even here before I start the video, you see there's kind of a halo around the lights, and that's what it does with a high. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I think I'm the first YouTuber to actually show what the stupid filter actually does. Now tonight, we have a telescope, and you guys know this. We bought it, I don't know, like 6 months ago or something. You guys know this. It's Celestron. Oh gosh, am I having trouble buying stuff from Celestron accessories? We have the, what they call the 127 SLT. It's 127 millimeters, which is 5 inches, and it's a Maxitoff. It's a compound telescope with a 1600 millimeter focal length. It's an amazing telescope, and we brought it with us because we're south of our house by about an hour to an hour and a half, depending on traffic. And this area is known in the light pollution sphere as a Bortle class 5. Where we live, it's a 6. And where we live, it is so bright that on the roof of my house, I could probably read a newspaper at midnight. Seriously, because of the light pollution. Now, that's Bortle 6. Bortle 5, I mean, the scales, I don't know if they're logarithmic or whatever, but my gosh, down here's like, it's only 5. We're seeing all kinds of crazy stuff, right? And so it's a computerized telescope, and once you set it up, you just, you know, and I have a bunch of apps. Gosh, I got like 6 or 7 apps of different, you know, astronomical apps and ways to discover things. And once you know the name of something, or you know the Messier number, or the NCG number, or the Cadwell number, whatever it is, you know, then you can search on it. And once you have the telescope aligned and set up, we'll talk about that in a minute. Once you have the telescope aligned and set up and the computer is all ready to go, then you just can find those things in the computer, you know, in the handset, and press enter, and it goes. The telescope slews and locks on it. And so tonight, the big star of the show was Jupiter, and I got to tell you, it looked amazing, and I couldn't really photograph it. Next week, I'm meeting with the dealer where I bought my telescope, and I'm getting a USB astrophotography camera for the solar system. If you want to get one for deep space, it's a different camera. But for now, I'm concentrating on the solar system because that's what my daughter is interested in. And she's doing a project for school, and we're going to take some pictures, right? Of, you know, whatever planets we can get. But here's the interesting thing. It was cold tonight. The tube was cold. I had it in the car all day, and then, of course, in the evening it got cool. And I thought, I mean, the thing about the Mac is that, I mean, the style of tube, there's a lot of thermal inertia, and they say that this particular tube needs to be acclimated longer than like a Schmidt, you know, Cassegrain. So, but the thing is, I had it in the car and it was outside, basically. And so I took it out of the car. I expected it to be at the relative ambient temperature. Anyway, the tube was, I mean, I took it out of the car and set it up, and all of a sudden the tube had all kinds of condensation on it. I realized my eyepieces and the objective lens had condensation. But here's the scary part. That telescope is a monster, and if you're a beginner and you want to get into it, you're talking about a relatively small investment of around $600. But with, I mean, the objective lens at the front of the telescope, like completely covered with condensation, I could resolve 5 moons of Jupiter, and the lines. It was amazing. I couldn't believe it. Was very clear. I mean, really clear. And then I, you know, used my little light, and I looked at the front. I was just checking things, you know, and I noticed. I said, "What is going on?" And I have a lens cleaning cloth, you know, a cloth that's designed for optics. And anyway, I wiped it clear, and all of a sudden, I was like, man. But I mean, it just blew my mind that I could see anything with it, with the objective lens almost completely fogged over. So what happened was, this is human nature. When you own something and it's yours and you got it at home, you're like, you know, I should dig that out. I should set it up, and I should look at some stars, and I really should, you know, I'll do it another night. But when it's not yours, and you go visit somebody, or you're someplace where they have set up, I mean, my daughter came out. She's like kind of bored. She's playing with other kids. She looked at Saturn and went, it looks good. I showed her the, you know, Orion Nebula. Oh, it's interesting. It's like, you know, I can see a ring of gas around it. Yeah, okay. Bye-bye. In the meantime, I got a chance to supercharge about 30 kids' imagination tonight. And for me, that's like a major win. I'm going to write that in my logbook on my e-ink device as win for today. Yeah. And the parents came. I'm going to say, with the adults and the kids, we probably had between, I'm going to say 45 to 50 people looking over a period of 2 hours at our, you know, at things, you know, through our telescope. It was very gratifying. And, you know, we looked at Pleiades, which actually, I think the telescope, the kit lens, it's just like a camera. You know, when you buy a camera, you get a kit lens, right? And then we have two eyepieces, and one is 25 millimeter, and that would equal 64 times magnification, and the other is 9 millimeter, and that would equal 177 magnification. But even the 64 magnification is a little bit too much for the Pleiades, because the feature stars were like right at the edge, and you had to really, you know, jam your eye into the eyepiece. But still, you know, the Orion Nebula was quite amazing, and every 10 minutes, you know, I'm wiping it off. I was looking for Uranus, and I've never seen it before, but the computer found it. I'm just not sure I was locked in on it, but I saw something. I think it might have been it, which would be a new one for me. But like I said, the star show was Saturn. Oh, excuse me, Jupiter. Saturn set, and the moon set. The moon was a thin crescent. We saw the International Space Station. This is how this whole thing started. I was sitting at the table in Apple Watch gave me a notification from the ISS app that I have, you know, for the International Space Station. And I asked some of the guys at the table, you know, with us, you know, just having some whiskey. So you ever seen the International Space Station? And one of the guys said, "No, I've never been on it." That's smart aleck. But went outside and it was a spectacular show. I mean, just, and they couldn't believe that's what it was. He says, "Are you sure that's what it is?" And I said, "Do you see any blinking lights? You see any red lights? Any strobes?" No. I said, "Well, it's not a plane. It's, you know, it's a satellite, basically." And that kind of primed him for the rest of the evening. So I'm going to tell you something very interesting. In Chinese, you know, the names for these planets and celestial bodies are different, because of what I was telling some of the people tonight was, for example, most of the names in English are, you know, they're taken from antiquity, and they're names of ancient gods, right? Mars, the god of war, and, you know, Jupiter, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is another word, a name for Jove. But the names in Chinese aren't linked, you know, to religious names or those types of, you know, beliefs, right? They're more based on observations. So for example, Mars in Chinese is 火星, which means fire star, because it looks red like fire, right? But the name for Jupiter is 木星. It means wooden star. And when you look at Jupiter, okay, it has lines, horizontal lines, like wood grain. And tonight, a lot of people saw Jupiter and connected that. Because I even said to one woman, she says, "Yeah, there's lines in there." And I said, "Yes." And I said that 木星象征的 just 木头, which means that the wood star resembles actual wood. And as you should see in her face, she's like, because we all have names for things, and you know, names in our language, and we never really think that much about the origin of them, right? And so that was a pretty interesting lesson tonight. And I'm basically a foreigner here, and so I get to, yeah, you know what I'm saying, right? So I'm a foreigner here, so I look at things a little bit differently, right? And it worked out great. But I was able to supercharge a lot of kids, and you know what? They lined up, and they would. It's really funny, because what it was, we had a line, and when they all got done looking at something, we'd look at something else. But what happened was, a lot of kids would go through the line, and they would get back of the line. So the line just kept going like this, because they wanted to look at the same thing over and over, which shows that they're really interested in it. And I told my wife tonight, and my wife doesn't really understand. I don't know. Maybe that's not fair. But let's just say she probably didn't realize. Those kids are never going to forget that, because I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be 68 soon. And I remember the first time I looked through a telescope. I remember also, excuse me, well, my parents got divorced when I was 10. And so it was before that. I think I was probably 8. I went to a university. My father took me to a university observatory nearby where we lived in St. Pete, Florida. And I remember looking at Jupiter through a 12-inch reflector. And I remember it looked like a basketball. It was incredible. I mean, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was a monstrous telescope. And so those kids are never going to forget that. A lot of them were looking at the planet. And my wife was really helpful. My wife was talking to the kids, you know, she's a mom, right? And she was saying, do you see the, the big ball? I said, yeah. And you see the lines on it? It looks kind of like wood. And they were like, yeah. And he said, you see the little dots around it? Yeah. Well, those are the moons, the satellites that belong to the planet. And she was really, really helpful. And so the kids knew what they were looking at. It wasn't just that they were, looking through there and going, oh, what is this? And so I took a quick, come on, picture. It's kind of hard to see because it's it's an iPhone, which I don't mean it's bad because the iPhone. I'm saying it was nighttime. I took it with the iPhone. You kind of see the telescope in the center. You see one of the young people looking through the eyepiece. The woman on the far right in the blue jacket is my wife, and she's talking to the person. And you see, it's mostly young people there. But I mean, these are like, these kids are like 10, 11, 12. But there were some really little kids. There were some that, the parents had to pick them up and hold them up there. But there were a lot of like 7, 8, 9-year-olds. But we had just as many adults. And the way I look at it is that was a huge win, actually. Yeah, I really enjoy that kind of stuff. And I think it's important to inspire people. I think it's important to mentor people. Because, everything that we have. Hey, Dave, fist bump. Dave, what are you doing up so late, man? Good grief. Look, it's 3:33 for me, so it's 2:33 for you. What are you doing up so late, man? And you're in Laos. Oh, I hate you so much. I wish I was in Laos. Great. Such a great place, man. All right. Good to see you. Thank you. So, everything we have is given to us, right? So it's not like we're so special. We need to share, and we need to help others, and we need to, to mentor them, especially kids. Because if you don't, they'll find their own way. So, yeah, we're both up late. Yeah, definitely. Because if you don't direct them, they'll find their own way, and it might be the wrong road, right? Might be the wrong way. Yeah, I understand. That's what I figured. Yeah, I do that too, and especially when I'm traveling, just a different place, and you're not working, you're not tied to a particular schedule. It's great. Yeah, I don't get a chance to do that too much. I don't actually have an actual job, you guys know, but I do have a schedule, and we talked about that recently and how I'm being more purposeful, with it, and with my e-ink device and all that. So, but I was talking to Dave tonight, and I definitely feel better, and I want to do more live streaming. And Dave's been helping me to appreciate that. I mean, it seems like, people want me to live stream more, and I'm not a selfish person. I try to be generous with, my time and resources and things. It's just that it's not that I didn't want to live stream. I just didn't want to live stream because I felt sick. I felt bad, and I've been having a hard time. But I also didn't want to tell everybody because it's a burden. You tell people that you don't feel well, and then they feel bad for you, and they feel, some kind of obligation to, reach out to you and give you condolences and stuff. And I don't want to obligate people to that, or, I'm not, I don't need any, I don't need sympathy or anything like that. It's, everything's fine. It's just, I've been very uncomfortable, with my cardiac arrhythmia. but I may have made some progress. I did a post on Facebook, which is not necessarily like me. I don't really like Facebook, but you know, I'm not blogging anymore. But I did a long post. I don't know if everybody saw it, but I just said, you know, the reason I kind of dropped out of you know, the live music scene and a lot of other stuff was because that, you know, I've been battling this cardiac arrhythmia for so long, and it's up and down, and sometimes it's okay, and you know, I there are sometimes, you know, where maybe I could work for a company in an office. There are other times when, you know, I definitely couldn't because I can't function. And here's the thing, you know, it doesn't matter if you're going to die or not. If you feel like you're going to die, that, you know, that aces everything, trumps everything. And even though I know that, you know, premature ventricular contractions aren't going to kill me, if I have in a 1 minute space 2 or 3, or in a 5 minute space I've got 4 or 5, you know, it feels like you're going to die. And it's so disruptive. And, you know, I try my best to ignore it, but sometimes weird things happen. I'm not going to go into it. And I don't say what I say looking for sympathy. You guys know that. I'm not looking for people to go, oh, MJ, I'm so sorry. No, that's not what I'm doing. I'm just informing people because I want them to know the reason why I'm not doing some things that I love to do. And, you know, Dave's been helping me understand that it looks like we have a pretty solid community. It's a small community. That doesn't matter, but it looks like we got a pretty solid community of close-knit friends that would like me to continue blabbing on a live stream, which actually I enjoy doing because I think it's good for my cognitive processes, you know, for one thing. But I occasionally do have some things to say, and they may or may not be relevant. But at the end of the day, I don't try to insult anyone, and I believe in building people up, you know, and mentoring them and trying to help them. And truth be told, my retirement money's gone, and I gave most of it away. I don't care. What else am I going to do with it? So yeah, that's how it is. So we have been on for 20 minutes or 29 minutes, but because it's so late, I am drinking a little bit. I'm actually feeling pretty good. I had early in the afternoon on the drive down here, I actually had to take a beta blocker because the palpitations were coming on while I was driving. See, one of my worst fears is that I'm going to have an episode when I'm driving and I'm going to endanger my family, right? And I've told my wife what she needs to do. You know, she needs to reach in front because she sits in the back with Phoenix, right? I drive. We have a van that they sit in the middle row. I said, you need to gently steer the car to the side of the road and pull the handbrake. So we've gone over this, you know, if I'm incapacitated. Never been, but boy, I felt like a bunch of times. Sometimes I'll tell my wife, I go, you know what? Get ready. And she doesn't say anything because I think she's scared. That's okay. So get ready because I might need you to take over. Anyway, so my daughter knows about this and I'm very upfront about it because, you know, the worst thing in the world is surprises for kids. So it's an eventuality that may happen. And my daughter needs to face the reality of that, you know, head on, but not be consumed with concern or, overwhelmed by the possibility. So I try to keep it in balance. And anyway, on the way down, I took a beta blocker, and that made me feel a lot better. And then this afternoon, I took another dose of anti-arrhythmia medication, but I did not take the anti-anxiety medication that I usually take, because I don't think I want to take that anymore. I have no abusive tendencies towards it. I know a lot of people do. I don't have any drug seeking behavior, no issues like that. I don't care if I take it or not. It doesn't affect me either way. I associate the anti-anxiety medication with the anti-arrhythmia medication. I take them together. I have only taken the anti-anxiety medication by itself maybe a handful of times if something really traumatic happened, but I find it really doesn't do a whole lot, which is good because it means I'm not dependent on it. And so I didn't take it. And then later tonight, around midnight, because I'm up so late, I took another dose of the anti-arrhythmia medication without the anti-anxiety medication, and I actually feel a lot better. And you guys know me, okay? I'm a drinker, and you guys have seen me for years, rum and scope and late night and drinking whiskey. Since about 2 weeks before the new year, I have been planning, my 2024, and since the new year, this is the third evening that I've actually drank alcohol. The first evening I drank a very small amount in a bottle of whiskey with soda over about a 3-hour period. The next time I drank was on a Wednesday, and I drank red wine because I wanted the elements of the wine. There are some very positive elements of wine, and tonight. So I've cut way back, and that's making me feel better too. In addition to that, I've lost about 4 kilograms. So keeping on, and trying to lose weight, and, facing the fact that I'm 68 minus 2 months. And, I'm never going to act my age. Okay. I'm just, get that out of your mind. Okay. I'm never going to act like my age, but I have to conduct myself like I'm my age. Do you see the difference? Wow, look at that. It's almost as if I'm making a circuit with my body. Oh, I'm sorry. I have to be polite. Can't forget the pinky. So as I was saying, it is rather late. So I think I'll say good night. Zaijian, Wan to everybody. Thank you for joining. And I was talking with Dave earlier, and I really did want to do a live stream. And I realized when I came home it was so late, but you know what? I feel so good now. I feel better. I feel really good. Way better than I felt in the previous 6 months. I'm doing a live stream. So, Dave, thank you. Dave, I owe you a lot, man. Really. Because, I talk with Dave almost every day about a lot of different stuff. And Dave is probably, I'm going to say, the most direct and straight shooting person I know. Doesn't pull any punches, doesn't sugarcoat anything. If he's annoyed, you know it. If he's not annoyed, you know it. But the point is, it's real, And, yeah, I love that. So Dave is, for me, I don't know what, I have no idea what Dave gets out of his relationship with me, but for me, he's like my sounding board. I run stuff by him all the time, and he'll tell me that, that's a ridiculous idea or whatever. And I'm like, okay, great. I know what you think now. It helps. It really does. Because, it doesn't do any good for somebody to be, I guess the word would be like a false friend, where they agree with everything you do, whether it makes sense or not or something. You don't do people any good by sugarcoating things, right? And facilitating them doing stupid things. And I admit, I do stupid things, and I rely on people, like my wife, like Dave, like, my friends, people in my congregation, whatever. It's people on the street, whatever, to tell me. So, yeah, I appreciate that. And I remember I was thinking about quitting live streaming altogether. I remember Dave wrote a post. He said, "This can't be allowed to happen." I'm like, wow. Because of my massive respect for Dave and known him for so long, his words have a lot of weight for me. So when I read that, I'm like, wow. Yeah, I guess I can't do this. So there you go. Anyway, I didn't have my finger on the circuit. Sorry. Okay, let's try that again. This is so ridiculous. I told Phoenix I was going to put like a metal plate on the side of this. I'm going to solder a piece of wire out there. So every time I'm drinking, I hold a glass on the bottom of my fingers like this, and it'll be on the circuit, and I'll just, pick it up and act like, nothing's different, right? And I love stuff like that. Guys, take care. And MJ loves all of you. So please be careful, and please be purposeful, intentional about what you do. But I'm blessed, I think, with probably the best group of followers anybody can have. I have one regret. Coco, please come back. Good night. Thank you so much.